Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a hero who has traveled the entire world, solved who knows how many mysteries, and journeyed through a whole century without aging a single day. Yep, we're talking about Tintin.
So, before we really dive in, I want to start with this big question because it really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. What is it that lets a character cross generations and connect with millions of people all over the globe?
We're talking about Tintin, of course, the boy reporter created by the Belgian artist Hergé. And right from the get-go, he was this total enigma, a character with no family, no real home to speak of, and an age that just never changed. It let him exist in this perfect space between being a kid and an adult. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to unpack how this eternal boy reporter became a mirror to an entire century. We'll look at the incredible companions who kept his world grounded, and then we'll see how he made that giant leap from the comic book page to the big screen.
All right, first up, the eternal boy reporter. And here, we're going to explore who Tintin really is, or maybe more accurately, who he was intentionally designed not to be.
See, Hergé designed Tintin to be a blank slate. As one source puts it, he arrived on the scene like a traveler with no map. All he had was that famous haircut and his loyal dog, Snowy. And this wasn't an accident, not at all. It was actually a brilliant creative choice. And you might think these missing pieces, no family, no home, no age, are weaknesses in his character. But they're actually the source of his strength. Without parents to define his past, or an age to lock him in time, Tintin becomes this universal figure, someone who can belong to anyone, anywhere.
And this intentional ambiguity, it led to this really powerful concept, Tintin as an empty vessel. He was practically inviting his readers to fill in the gaps with their own imaginations, which basically made every single reader a co-creator in his story.
Okay, so you have this empty vessel. How in the world did he become the perfect mirror for the entire chaotic 20th century? Well, for one thing, Tintin's journeys weren't just fantasy. They were completely plugged into reality. Hergé was pulling from everything, from stories of real-world explorers to the political chaos of his time. He channeled all those international tensions and scientific breakthroughs right into the adventures. It meant Tintin's stories were reflecting the real hopes and fears of the 20th century. His adventures weren't random at all. You can literally map them against the major themes of the era. He was like a witness to history, traveling from the political shadows of the Soviet Union all the way to humanity's giant leap to the moon.
So, if Tintin was our blank canvas, his unforgettable companions were the ones who brought all the color, all the texture, and all the humanity. They were the anchors that grounded his incredible adventures in a world we could all recognize.
And what a crew it is. I mean, this group is absolutely legendary. You've got the fiery loyalty of Captain Haddock, the brilliant but totally spaced-out genius of Professor Calculus, and of course, the slapstick comedy of those bumbling detectives Thompson and Thompson. These characters filled the world with real human emotions.
And the contrast between Captain Haddock and Professor Calculus is just a perfect example of this depth. Haddock is all passion and earthly frustration, shouting blistering barnacles at pretty much anything. Meanwhile, Professor Calculus is completely lost in his own world of scientific theory, a brilliant mind that's often disconnected with what's right in front of him. You could say that together, they represent the heart and the mind of the entire series.
So when you put all of this together, this blank slate hero and this incredibly rich, grounded world, you get a legacy that's still going strong. So let's take a look at how Tintin made that huge leap from the page to the screen.
This quote from the source material just absolutely nails his impact. Tintin's power came from the fact that he was universal, not from some personal history. He proved that a hero doesn't need a tragic origin story to be compelling. They just need a solid moral compass and a world that's worth exploring. And that timeless appeal is exactly why Tintin could move so successfully beyond the comics. The very things that made him a hit on the page, that clean art style, the thrilling plots, the rich characters, they were just as captivating for new generations watching him on the big screen. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. If Tintin really is a mirror to the century, what does his popularity today say about us? Maybe, just maybe, in his timeless adventures, we see a reflection of our own curiosity, our own desire to explore, and our hope for a clear moral compass in what feels like an ever more complex world.